Hello friends, so today we are going to discuss another topic, international body, we can say NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It is one of the most important organizations which were formed in the very early stages just after the World War II. It is also very important in the contemporary world. So let's see its structure and the formation of organization and the role of NATO in today's world. So let's begin our video. First of all, have what we are going to cover in this video. First, we are going to have introduction of the NATO, objectives of NATO, then concerns regarding NATO expansions, that how NATO is expanding itself by admitting another members, helping them, challenges for India in involving NATO, US, Europe framework. Okay, you will be able to know that why it is NATO, US, and Europe. Advantage for India from stronger NATO US partnership. Okay, so let's begin with the introduction. First of all, overview of NATO. NATO is an NATO is a military alliance founded in 1949 by the US, Canada, and Western Europe states to offer collective protection against the Soviet Union. So, when it was formed in 1949 by US, Canada, Western Europe. It was founded to counter the Soviet Union, which they formed there on Warsaw Pact. So, to counter the Soviet Union before 1991, which existed, it was formed NATO. And important thing is that it is not just an organization, it is a military alliance. So it should keep in mind. Recently, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization marked 75 years. Okay, and Sweden has joined as the 32nd member. It can be asked in any exam, so keep in mind that Sweden has joined as the 32nd member in NATO. So currently, how many members are there in NATO? Total 32 members there in NATO. Since its founding, Greece, Turkey, and West Germany, Spain, and several Eastern Europe nations have joined the alliance. Moving ahead, objectives of the NATO. Like for any international organization, it has some objectives, some goals to achieve. So let's see NATO's objective. First and very important, that is collective defense. NATO's central purpose is to safeguard the freedom and security of its members through a collective defense approach. And it is very clearly mentioned in the Article 5 of NATO's framework. Political cooperation, collaboration. NATO promotes democratic values and foster communications among members on security threats. And the collaborative approach aims to prevent conflict through diplomacy and trust building. Now, some military capabilities which is held by the NATO. NATO maintains a strong military force for crisis management operations. Interventions can occur under Article 5, collective defense. Now, this collective defense term is very important. It is something like that all the countries, like this is the bloc of NATO, these are the countries. If any foreign country attacking on one of the country, like suppose country A, then all these other countries will assume that its defense, its attack on everyone. So they will be, the NATO's country members will come together and will they re-attack on the body. So it shows the unity among the members, and it was also shows that how the members in NATO were frightened or afraid of the USSR, because USSR was attacking after the World War II on the countries and expanding its territories. So in this fear, USA brought this concept of NATO with the help of European states and the UK. So they brings this concept of NATO to counter the Warsaw Pact, which was held between the countries by leading USSR. NATO has only used Article 5 once. This should be kept in mind. Only once, September 12, 2008, in response to the 9/11 attacks on the World Trade Center in New York. So it is very important. The Article 5 has been used since only one time, and that is only when 9/11, the infamous 9/11 attacks. Moving ahead, let's see the concerns regarding NATO expansion. The weakened alliance. Critics argued that expanding NATO could strain unity, leave some exposed. How it will strain unity? Let's see. A larger alliance might struggle to reach consensus. That's the problem of everywhere. That if there are more and more members, then consensus will take time. And if they arrive at any consensus, then their implementation will also take time. Weaken its commitment to collective defense. Article 5. Yes. Exposed continual expansion might leave on some hopeful members like Ukraine feeling insecure without full membership. We all know that Ukraine is very strategic between the Europe and Russia. Okay, so Ukraine plays a very important role. That's why we are witnessing the war between Russia and Ukraine. Russia has captured the part of Crimea. Ukraine now seeking support from the NATO members. Ukraine wants to be a full membership of the NATO, but Russia knows that if Ukraine joins NATO, then the enemies would be at their doorstep, and that's why Russia never wants that Ukraine should join NATO. And Russia knows very well that if Ukraine joins NATO, then ultimately it is inviting enemy at his doorstep, that is USA. Now financial abundance, the cost of expansion of significant, which estimates reaching $35 billion by 2010. The US soldiers are a substantial portion of these expenses. Now mistrust with Russia, seen by Russia as a threat. I already mentioned it that NATO is seen by Russia as a threat, led to aggressive responses like Crimea annexation in 2014 and Ukraine invasion 2022, and the Ukraine war is still going on in 2025. Demilitarization reversed, deepening Europe divides, militarization of Europe, and other challenges of the NATO. Now let's see the other challenges. Only 11 of 31 NATO members met with 2% GDP defense target in 2023. Right-wing nationalism. Leaders in Hungary, Italy have raised doubt over NATO UE commitments. Right-wing nationalism means patriotism. US commitment doubts. Trump era scepticism under Article 5 undermined the alliance unity. So whenever the leaders from the country changes, then the ideas which are lying under beneath since its formation, it also gets changed. Depends upon the more over the political conditions of the countries and the members. So it also shapes somehow. Let's see the challenges for India in the evolving NATO-US Euro framework. So the main challenge is that Russia relationship impact. Ties with Russia may suffer as 400 missile deal concerns from US. So we all know that India has a large and long relationship with Russia, and we imports a lot of defense material, defense materials from the Russia, and also a lot of other things we import a lot from Russia. So it might hamper economic sanctions. May face pressure to follow NATO sanctions, disruptions of Iran oil imports, tech transfer barriers. NATO restrictions may block tech from Russia. Like India hadn't also joined this NATO organization. Okay, actually it all started after World War II. If you see, because after World War II, the whole world was not ready for again to become for another world war. Okay, so they decided there are two things which came, that is first as NATO, and second the Warsaw Pact. It was led by US and this was led by USSR. Okay, now Russia after disintegration in 1991. But there were some countries who do not want to be in the hegemony, under the hegemony of any of the wings, either it is right or left, because these countries had just got liberated from the long colonial suppression of a long 100-200 years. So they wanted not to align with any of the country, any of the wings, because at the last they will be under, then after getting such a sovereign and freedom, they will be under some other country after having long term suppression from the colonial rule. So they decided to be together, and then here the formation of NAM come. NAM means non-aligned movement. Okay, so India also propagated this. India didn't join, but now the situation is, if NATO countries wants to make India to join NATO's, but India isn't willing, then they might put sanctions on India for the imports India is having with Russia, because Russia is the greatest, we can say, enemy for the NATO's country. This was all the challenge about tech transfer barrier and Russia imports. higher defense spending, sovereignty challenge, already talked. Now let's see advantages for the India from stronger NATO US Europe partnerships. It is very unique that at the same time we are having lots of challenges and at the same time we are having some advantages also. Now security cooperation can help India through counter-terrorist strategies and intelligence sharing, that is anti-terror cooperation with NATO, like inter France and US. We all know that we are having lots of cross-terrorism from our neighborhood country, that is Pakistan. So joining NATO, it can help security cooperation. Second is economic stability. Strong US Europe ties can boost global economy, helping India's trade at US European Union Trade and Technology Council. Technology assets. You can get advanced defense tech from NATO countries, Rafale jets from France, as we're getting. Like if we sign NATO, then it will be easier to get technology transfer, defense in terms of economy, in terms of climate, in terms of education, health, supports for democracy, energy sector, and India-specific collaboration. You can read it by yourself because I have given the outer lines that how it will help India, in what sector it can help India by joining NATO. Moving ahead. So this is all about NATO. Thank you. I hope you learned something. Let's meet in another video.